Happy New Year, everyone. Mrs. Williams here with your weekly newsletter, and I've got some notes in front of me because we are very busy beginning our third quarter. It's so exciting, and here we go. This week we read a book called Zen Shorts, and the boys and girls recognized that it was a Caldecott honor. That's something they've been learning about in media. And so they were really excited to see that this is a well-known and well-celebrated book. And it was about a bear named Stillwater who met 3 children and told 3 very interesting stories. And they all had really important lessons. So as you can guess, our literacy objective this week was to be able to recognize and talk about different lessons learned in stories. Lessons that the characters in the stories are learning, as well as the lessons that we are learning. So we learned about good luck and bad luck. We learned about generosity, and we also learned a little bit about friendship. So that was a really fun book to kind of kick off the new year. Speaking of a new year, we are, of course, writing and learning about resolutions. And your son or daughter has written and decided on a goal for themselves as well as an action. So we have been talking a lot about we might have some goals to be a better son or daughter, to be a better student, to be a better friend, to be a better athlete. And then we talked about that goals are great, but we have to put them into action. And so we talked about lots of different ways and have begun some story mapping, some brainstorming here on how we can achieve those goals. So excitingly enough, next week you're going to be getting a letter from your son or daughter. It'll look something like this, and it will be describing to you what their goals are and how they're going to become a better them this 2013. So that'll be exciting for you to see. All right, so then the remainder of goals in reading this coming week are going to be learning about looking for clues in our reading to understand words that we may not have heard before, and we're going to be using something called context clues. So we're going to be looking for things inside our reading to give us clues about what those new words might mean. Also, we're going to be using a dictionary, and the boys and girls are going to learn how to look up a word in a dictionary. And we're also going to be, of course, renaming and retelling key details in the stories that we read and hear. So lots of things going on in reading next week. Of course, we'll have a poem of the week, and we're actually going to start learning about Chinese New Year. I know that that's actually not until February, but because we'll be tracked out, it's going to be a fun time to kind of compare cultures and traditions and celebrations between New Year's and then the Chinese New Year. So that'll be a little bit of a social studies goal there. All right, in writing, I told you we're going to be writing those resolutions and writing details to support our resolutions. The details being how we're going to accomplish those goals. So that's something I'm looking for in their writing. All the conventions from second quarter, of course, are carrying over to third quarter, so making sure your child's using capital letters at the beginning of all of their sentences, making sure that periods go at the end. We're stretching out those words and recording all those sounds, especially those vowel sounds. That's a really important phonetic skill to be able to hear both the short vowel sounds and the long vowel sounds. So the A versus the A, the E versus the E, and so on. All right, in math, we are still finishing up our time unit. And just so you know, in first grade, the goal is to read on the hour as well as half past, and also to be able to count by 5s and to tell in 5-minute increments what a time might be. So a really good skill to be practicing at home is to be counting by 5s. The goal is, of course, to count to 120 by 5s, but on a clock we only count to 60. So practice that 5, 10, 15, 20, all the way until 60, recognizing that after 60 comes 5 again. So that's going to be an important skill for our math next week, as well as we are starting a shapes unit, and it's a little bit of a step up as you would expect from kindergarten. So it's not just identifying shape, it's really going to be about describing shapes attributes, and not things like colors and sizes, but things like what makes that shape that shape. So a rectangle has 4 sides. 2 of the sides are long and 2 of the sides are short. That kind of attribute describing. So that's going to take a lot of practice, and it's going to be a large vocabulary development. So please work on that and reinforce those things at home also. You can identify shapes in your house and not just identify them, but describe them. All right, couple reminders for you. We do track out in 2 weeks. I can't believe it. It'll be a really fun track out for everyone, I'm sure. It's a good time to be out. We'll be back in time for Valentine's Day. Quick reminder, please make sure that your sight word book stays in your son or daughter's OTIS, in that reading Velcroed folder, because we need to make sure that on Fridays I have a parent volunteer who comes in and helps me assess all the words that your son or daughter knows, so we know how they're doing, and we just need to make sure that those books are staying inside the OTIS so that they're there when we need to practice. The kids also use them during centers, so during writing or word work. They do refer to those often, so let's make sure we keep those. We were missing quite a few. Let's make sure we keep those in your OTIS. And I'm sure they're at home because you're practicing words all the time. But if you'll just remember to tuck those inside after you've practiced, that would be great. All right, drop my note here. Okay, so then the next note is administration has asked me to remind you that on January 8th at 6:30, there is a new student assignment plan meeting. If you have some questions or want to know more about the new student assignment plan, please attend that meeting. Like I said, January 8th at 6:30 in the Media Center. And then the other reminder from the office is that track change requests are due by January 25th. And to make that request, all you need to do is call the office, and they'll send a form home. They'll send a form down to me, and we'll send it home for you for a track change request. So, excuse me. So there you go. There are all the updates for the week. I hope you guys have had a really nice Christmas break, and I was so excited to see my kids back at school. We have an addition of a new student, and she fits in perfectly. She's one of ours, and you'll be happy to know that the boys and girls accepted her in a snap. And we have 23 beautiful smiling faces ready for a new year. So hope you guys are doing well. Please let me know if you have any questions or comments about homework or goals, needs of improvement, things like that that you noticed on the report cards that came home in December. And I will speak with you soon. Have a good one. Bye.